All right, welcome everybody. Good morning. Let's get underway. Late joiners will be welcome, and of course, we'll have a recording of this webinar sent out to you. So there's no issue if anyone joins later. So today I will talk about SAP Support Backbone Integration, which is a new ServiceNow app that we've developed at STA Technologies. My name is Tamás Holic. I'm the CEO. If you have any issues with the audio or the video, please enter it in the chat. From time to time, I will take a look at it, and we will also have a Q&A session at the end. So if you have any questions, please use the dedicated Q&A button of the Zoom webinar controls. Or if you don't find it, then you can just also enter it in the chat. All right, so let's start with the introduction and an overview. So this is me. My name is Tamás Holic. As I mentioned, I'm the CEO at STA Technologies. We're based in Budapest, Hungary. We are an SAP Silver partner, as well as a ServiceNow partner. Our focus is on building SAP integration solutions, especially packaged software products that are easy to deploy. We have no focus on any industry or geography, as you can see from the next slide. So these are the customers who use our out-of-the-box product called the ITSM connector for SAP. So that's not going to be in focus today, but the new add-on that we came up with. About 80–85% of these customers use ServiceNow as a ticketing tool. So the solution that I'll present today will also be useful for them. Let's talk about the products that we have. So we are mostly known for our ITSM connector for SAP add-on product. That's a certified SAP add-on, and that allows users to create tickets in external ticketing platforms directly from SAP. So that needs to be installed on the SAP application server, and then it can provide this functionality. We also have a ServiceNow app with the same name, ITSM connector for SAP. It's certified by ServiceNow. This is an optional component of this solution, and it provides extra functionalities on the ServiceNow side. For example, it contains an out-of-the-box SAP incident dashboard. But the focus today will be on our new application called the SAP Support Backbone Integration, which is certified by ServiceNow, so it's available on the store. And basically, this allows you to create SAP cases out of ServiceNow incidents, and of course, keep them synchronized. So let's talk about the pain points related to supporting SAP systems. Unfortunately, there are typical issues with this that every customer has to face. The first one is the poor quality of incoming tickets. So the error reports are usually very simple that are submitted by end users, and then you have to spend a lot of time on figuring out the details. You have to get back in touch with the SAP end user and also ask all the usual questions. Please send a screenshot. Which transaction did you use? What did you enter? And so on. The second one is related to the first. So based on that very limited information, you have to route and categorize your incidents manually. And that leads to errors. Quite often you have to reassign the ticket even multiple times. And basically you lose almost 2 hours with every ticket reassignment. Okay, the third one is related to knowledge bases. A lot of customers spend time and money on building knowledge base articles with SAP content. But if the end users don't use the knowledge base, then it's just a wasted opportunity to reduce the number of tickets, and of course, a waste of time and money to build the knowledge base. So these were the main pain points that led us to develop the ITSM connector. And then the next slide explains the pain points related to SAP cases. So if an error turns out to be in a standard SAP transaction and you need a fix from SAP, then you need to go to the SAP support portal called SAP for Me. So basically there, when you create a ticket, you have to manually categorize the cases when you create it, and that that might be a bit overwhelming, especially if you're at a big company. You need to select the correct installation, the system, the product, the component, and so on. And that's not always trivial. The second one is that if you use ServiceNow to report your errors and manage your SAP incidents, then most likely you will have a ServiceNow incident for the SAP case, and then you need to manually update the ServiceNow incidents whenever you have something new on the case. And also the other way around, if someone adds information to the ServiceNow ticket, you manually have to add that to the case. So basically that's a very inefficient process. You might not get notified that, hey, you have to do something, SAP is waiting for your answer. So it's just slowing down the process. The third one is the extra communication. So it's basically the same thing from the previous slide. On the first point was the lack of information entered by the end user, but of course this can affect SAP as well. So they also need to know how to reproduce the problem and what's the exact error message and so on. And then again, same thing, they will ask for all the information, and then you have to manually submit everything so they can actually reproduce the problem and start working on a solution. So let's check out how this looks like in real life. So this is a classic SAP incident management process. So when an end user runs into an error in SAP, they need to get in touch with the service desk. This is usually done via email or phone. And someone is going to log a ticket in ServiceNow, so you have an incident. Then usually you have different resolver group or assignment groups in ServiceNow. You might have a level 1 group. They will take a look at the incident and try to figure out who is responsible. So they will assign it to the team responsible for supporting a specific module. But sooner or later, someone's going to actually reproduce the problem and start working on a solution. And in 90% of the cases, they will need to get back in touch with the end user to ask all the classic questions. Okay, where did you log into? What transaction did you execute? And so on. Then the user will answer. You might need a screenshot, then the user will send a screenshot. Something might not be visible on the screenshot. You need additional details, then the user will send that as well. And this can take really a long time, especially if your users are in a different time zone than your support teams, which is a pretty common scenario. So unfortunately, the support team can only start working on a solution when they have all the details that they need to reproduce the error. So the next step is, if the error is in a standard SAP product, then you need to get back, you need to get in touch with SAP. So basically you have to go to the SAP support portal, SAP for me, and then manually create a case. Naturally, then you need to update the incident that, hey, I have created case 123, and we're waiting for SAP support. Then SAP will have some questions for you. Then you will put that information into the case. And of course, then you, again, I have to update the incident that, hey, SAP asked this, now I replied that, and so on. SAP might have another question, and then the same thing happens. And then finally, SAP will provide a solution, and then you basically update the ticket, so case is closed. And after that, you can close the ServiceNow incident as well. So this is way too complicated. There are way too many arrows on the screen. So let's check out how this looks with the add-ons from STA Technologies. So first of all, when an SAP user runs into an error, if you have installed the ITSM connector, our existing product, then by simply pressing a button right there in SAP, either in a SAP GUI or Fiori app, it doesn't really matter, then the ITSM connector can immediately search in your knowledge base. So this can reside in ServiceNow, for example, and it can also search the central support backbone knowledge base. So basically SAP nodes. You can get solution recommendations using the Cloud ALM ITSM API that the support backbone integration app is based on, but this is already displayed in SAP, so there's a good chance that the end user can solve the problem without creating a ticket. But let's say you have no knowledge base or the user can't solve the issue, all they need to do is to enter the description of the problem and then press a button. And then the ITSM connector is going to create the ticket for you in ServiceNow. So you will have an incident. And also, it's going to attach all information that you might need. You have all the SAP system details, the transaction details, you have the screen contents, you will have screenshots, the standard SU53 authorization report, you will have Fiori-specific attachments if you create a ticket out of Fiori. So basically, you have a full information package. And on top of that, the ITSM connector can route the ticket to the relevant team automatically based on any criteria. For example, based on the transaction code or the module, the Fiori app or the system, the error message. So basically, you can bypass the first level service desk and then have the ticket assigned to the relevant team, having all the information that they need so they can immediately start to work on a solution without a delay. So this is handled by the ITSM connector. And now let's take a look what happens if the issue turns out to be related to standard SAP. So in that case, you'd need to log into SAP for me, but not if you do have the SAP Support Backbone Integration app installed on your ServiceNow instance, because then you can just basically press a few buttons and then the application is going to create the SAP case for you. Fully automated and super simple. And then, of course, it's going to, obviously, SAP will also be able to start working on a solution because they will also receive the attachments that are generated by the ITSM connector. And of course, if there are any changes to either the case or the incident, that those are synchronized. So you don't need to manually copy paste anything from across the tickets. Everything is going to be automatic. So this has the following benefits. Obviously, the case properties that you need to manually enter are already provided by the ITSM connector. So that SAP add-on can provide you the component, the system number, installation number, and so on. So that's actually forwarded to SAP when you create a case. You don't have to worry about that. So all the existing attachments can be transferred automatically to SAP. So they will have the screenshot, they will have the authorization report, the Fiori stuff, the system details, and so on. Also, this works, the ITSM connector works from basis 7.0.0, so it supports very old systems as well and works with all major UI technologies. Also, it works with on-premise systems and private cloud, so it's certified for RISE. All right, so let's get back to the app that I'm going to focus on today, the SAP Support Backbone Integration app. As I mentioned, it's a certified ServiceNow app. It's on the store. And it definitely follows the SAP case lifecycle that is recommended by SAP. So that means that it can read solution recommendations provided by the SAP AI. It can also use the component prediction. Again, that's an AI functionality. So based on the description of the problem, the system number, the component, and so on, you can get component predictions. Also, it uses the SAP Master Data APIs to get all your landscape objects, so all your systems, installations, and so on. You don't have to manually enter it into ServiceNow in any way. You can also get the contacts. So basically, those are the S users for the company and all the components that you can possibly select when you create a case. All right, so let's check out the process. Before that, I have an icon notification. Okay, I will have a question at the end. Excellent. All right, so let's talk about the process. This slide comes from SAP. It was presented last year at the ALM Summit, and it shows you how basically the process flow. So at the top, you have the customer ITSM platform. That's going to be ServiceNow, and at the bottom, you have the SAP Support Backbone. So the first thing is that you need to decide if a specific incident is related to SAP, and if you need SAP support, then basically you can create something called a case candidate. So SAP provides master data for that. And then once you have all the information, you can send it to SAP, to basically another endpoint. They will recommend solutions for you. They can recommend specific components, so you can properly categorize the incident. And if you can find some solutions, then of course problem resolved. You don't need to do anything. But if not, then you can actually create the case in the central SAP support backbone. The architecture it's also coming from the slide deck of SAP. Here you can see the customer or partner landscape. And here is the first thing to understand, that all communication is going through the SAP Cloud ALM instance. So that's on the customer or partner side. And of course, one customer might have multiple Cloud ALM systems, but essentially that is acting as a middleware to the central SAP support backbone. And here you might have third-party ITSM pre-configured solutions, and that's exactly what we have created. So the SAP Support Backbone Integration app by STA is sitting right there. All right. So there are a couple of benefits of the solution. The first of all, it's a native ServiceNow app, and you don't need to install anything else. You need to set up Cloud ALM in a minimal way, that you have your landscape objects there, and you have the APIs enabled. But apart from that, you don't need a full-blown, complete Cloud ALM implementation for this to work. This solution uses a pull architecture because this Cloud ALM API that we are relying on offers this pull architecture only. So it means that SAP is never going to push updates to you. You periodically have to query all your existing open cases and check out if there were any changes. So this is how our ServiceNow app is going to work. It's super easy to install. So literally you can have this up and running in 1 hour, and you don't need to do development. So we made the application in a way that it's super flexible. You can configure many things based on rules that is basically configuration entries on the ServiceNow side, and you will not need to do actual development. All right, so let's jump into the system and check out how this works. So what I will do is I will create a brand new incident. So now I'm showing you the scenario when you don't use the ITSM connector to report an error. That's the thing that I will show you for the second time. So now I create a very simple incident manually. Okay, so there's a done in VA01 test. Okay, so this is going to be my incident. Perfect. So it's super simple. I don't want to overcomplicate it. Basically, what you will see, the top right corner is a prepare SAP case button. So that is always displayed when an incident matches some conditions that you define in a configuration table. I will show you that for the last section of the demo, but you don't have to worry that this is going to be displayed for all incidents. Like if you have a printer error, or I don't know, it's not going to be there. You can configure it to check out all the fields of the incident, and it will only display when the category is something that you set up, or the subcategory, or the business service, or the assignment group. So it's super flexible, but now we've configured in a way that now this appears. So let's see what happens if I press it. Then you will see that there's an additional SAP Case Details tab displayed. Also, you can see that some information is already pre-populated. Again, this is coming from configuration. For example, the SAP customer is pre-populated. So this is our technical SAP customer number, which you get from SAP. And we have the SAP creator and reporters set to my user, and you can see that we have the S user. So this is coming from the ServiceNow user record. There is an additional field that contains the S user field, and this is pre-populated by a periodic job. I mean, not pre-populated, it's the user master is always updated with the S users based on the email address in a periodic job. You can configure it to run every day or every 4 hours or as you wish. So in this case, we're not coming from the ITSM connector. We have manually created the instance, so we don't have the other fields pre-populated. So let's check what we can do. In the landscape object field, you can actually look up your landscape objects, which are synchronized from SAP to a ServiceNow table. So you can either just scroll down and select something, but of course, if you have lots of systems or you don't know the system name, then you can start typing like S4H is what our S4HANA system. So I can just select it. And then the other fields are populated based on this. You don't need to necessarily select anything here. So if you happen to have any kind of an issue in your Cloud ALM instance, you can still manually change all these values to anything, but that's not the way how that's not the best user experience. The best is if you just select your landscape object. It's pretty similar for the components, so you can enter anything in here, but that's not the intended way of working with this. You have different options. So here you have two buttons. You can either display a component reference field, which will display this lookup field. And then you can just simply start typing whatever FI something, and you then select the component. Of course, you can use the standard lookup list. So that's one option. You can also turn on this filter. So there's a relation between the system and the components. So for example, this is a S4HANA system, so it should not have any Solution Manager components, and those are starting with SV, and you can see that there's nothing for S4HANA in SV. So this filter can be turned on and off. And let's check out the next button. So basically what you have here is if you press that, then you can get component recommendations from SAP. So basically the app sends you the description, the system, and so on, and then these are recommended by SAP. If you select any of those, then the component is taken over. But now, when creating the case, I definitely don't want anyone at SAP to actually start working on it. So there's a special component that I will use. So nobody's going to actually pick up this ticket. Here you can select the SAP priority and the business impact. No significant impact. And then I'll just press save. Because if all the mandatory fields are populated, you'll have new buttons here at the top. If you want to undo everything, you can just press the discard SAP case preparation button, and then everything is going to be cleared and the case details tab will be hidden. You can create a case with this button or press this button to get solution recommendations. Actually, you can configure the product in a way that it's going to perform the solution recommendation search automatically. So yeah, it's turned on. So when I tried to create a case, it said that, hey, it's mandatory to have the solution recommendations, and it actually started to get the solution recommendations. You can't create a case without checking out the knowledge base articles. So now let's scroll down and see what we have here. There's an interface logs tab displayed. That's only displayed for administrators, so your regular end users will not have this tab. And here you can see that there was web service call made to SAP. You can actually check the log. It's a super detailed log. This was the request that was sent to the Cloud ALM instance when we press the component prediction button, these were the components displayed. Here we have the endpoint, the HTTP headers, and so on. So you have a very good logging for the whole application. But now, because the second web service call is also successful, solution recommendations are read from Cloud ALM, and those are displayed here. So again, this might be pretty relevant. Let's check this out. This is basically an SAP note. Here you can see the URL, the summary, the title, and you can press display solution to actually check this out. So this is the recommended solution. So let's say that none of these solution recommendations help you to solve the issue. So you really want to create the ticket. So now press create SAP case. You can see that case creation started, and let's wait a little bit. It takes a couple of seconds, and then we should notice that two fields have changed here. The reason is that the ticket creation was successful, and there's a rule that whenever the SAP case has a specific status, then the incident fields are changed. So the incident is now put on hold, and we're awaiting vendor. We're awaiting SAP. So let's reload the form to see all the updates. Now you can see that the status of the ticket is sent to SAP. You have some administrative information. All the fields are now read-only, including the short description and the description, because we want to avoid any inconsistencies between the ServiceNow incident and the SAP case. So from now on, you cannot actually change the descriptions. Yeah, let's check out the reason why this change in the incident field was done. So here you have a couple of menu entries for the SAP Backbone Integration app, and there is the custom field mapping table. And here you can see, let's only look for the active ones. So here the last two entries were applied, because you can see that when we are reading a case, we check the status of the SAP case. And if it's sent to SAP, then we update the state to 3 and the hold reason to 4. So that's why, going back to the incident, these two fields were updated. But of course, you don't have to do this. It's optional. You can configure to change any incident field based on any SAP case field. So this is the framework, basically, how you can do this field mapping. All right, there is a button here that will display the case for you in the SAP support portal. By the way, this is obviously the SAP case number. So if you press it, you're taken to SAP, and you need to wait about 1 or 2 minutes to have the case appear. So there's a little time that needs from the Cloud ALM API call to the support backbone. But still, you can add anything. So let me add the comment. Okay, so this is a comment from ServiceNow. So this is going to work, and this is going to be sent to SAP. When this is going to be visible in SAP for me, then the comment will be already there. Let's scroll down and check out the incident logs. So we first get the two solution and category recommendations, then there was the create case interface call. Then after creating the case, we have read it. We have read all the details of the case, and now we have just added a case, a comment, and immediately an add case comment web service call was sent. So whenever the case will be available in SAP for me, we should already have the additional comment. So I just press refresh. It's still not. All right. We have already reported this issue to SAP, but so far it has not changed. So obviously we'll have to wait a little bit more, which is super interesting. And no, still no. Let me check, but anyway, you can see that the case ID is there, so the case was properly created. And finally, okay, so it took about 2 minutes or so for the case to be visible in the support for SAP For Me portal. But here you can see the subject is handed over, the initial description. Remember, I have added a comment with a single M, if I can see, yeah, and that's all automatically synchronized. The priority set to low. In the details, you have everything set, like the system, the installation, the component, the customer, the reporter. We have the business impact synchronized. We do have the contacts populated. So everything is just perfect. Let's reply something. So this is a reply from SAP. And here you can also have rich text like bold characters, underscores, whatever. Let's press send. So now we have the comment here. So as I mentioned, the application has a full architecture. So it means that this change will not be reflected immediately automatically. There are two ways how we can update a case. There is a periodic background script that is executed every 30 minutes by default. Of course, you can change it to have more frequent execution or maybe per hour or anything. But I have turned that off for the demo in order to not interfere with my demo script. So now I will use the read SAP case button manually. So when the case is in a specific statuses, one of the specific statuses like sent to SAP, then you can either close it or read it. So now I'll press the read case button. So you can see at the top that the reading of the case has started. And after a few seconds, we have the reply here. You can see this is what I have just entered on the SAP side. So there is a bidirectional synchronization of comments. So let's see what happens with attachments. I will upload something, this one. And then if I scroll down, check out the interface logs, you can see that there was an upload attachment call and then an add attachment call. It was successful. So now if you go to the case and check out the attachments, we can see the file that was attached in ServiceNow. So now I will do the same on this SAP side. So maybe SAP attaches something for you. Okay, it's there. So again, either you just wait until the periodic job that is refreshing all the incidents is going to run and process this incident, and then it's going to be updated. Or now I will again press the read case button. Again, you can see that the read case is started. Then we are getting the attachments, we're getting the comments. And because we have found that the product found an attachment that was not yet synchronized, that it retrieved it. So if I refresh the form, now I have the attachment that was added on the SAP side. All right, so you might have lots of discussions, attachments going from here to there and so on, but eventually you will want to close the ticket. It might be closed automatically by SAP, so there's a functionality after, I don't know, maybe 20 days or something, the ticket is closed automatically if you don't do anything. But now I will just press the Close SAP Case button. So you can see at the top that the closing was started. Let's see the interface logs, what's happening. So the closing was done successfully. Then for the last time, we read all the details of the case, all the comments, the attachments, and also the activities. So then let's reload. You can also see that the state changed back. You might remember that we had more than one custom field mapping entry in that configuration table, and now the state is back in progress. So this is one example that based on the case status, you can set any incident field automatically. So now this is confirmed. You have all the additional details here. And of course, if we come here to check out the case, then the status should be closed. Yes, it's actually called confirmed. All right, so now we have seen the complete life cycle of an SAP case created automatically out of a ServiceNow incident. But remember, this was the case when we just created an incident manually. So now let's see how this looks like if you use the ITSM connector to report SAP incidents. So for that, now I will log into our S/4HANA system. I will execute transaction FB50. Okay, I want to post a GL account document, but I get an error message. Okay, so this is my issue. I want to get help. I create a ticket. So I go to the help menu, press create support message. Now the ITSM connector asks for a confirmation to allow taking a screenshot. I have allowed it. Now the main screen appears where I can enter and not post document in FB50. This is going to be just test. So here at the bottom, you have knowledge base articles. You can see there are two distinct sources. When the number starts with KB, those are coming from ServiceNow. So let's double click on it because it's based on the description, this looks relevant. Posting period is not open. Double click, and then I can see the knowledge base article, which exactly tells the solution for my issue. So here's what I need to do. I go back to SAP and solve the problem myself. Okay, let's say we don't have that article. We have the knowledge base articles coming from SAP. So again, these are taking the current transaction code, the system details, the subject, and so on. And then if you double click, then you're taken to the SAP node. So this is also another source for knowledge embedded directly into SAP. But again, let's say that we don't find any solutions, so we want to create a ticket. Then let's talk about the middle section of the screen. We deliver a few templates for ServiceNow. This is one of the complex ones where you can actually select the ticket type. So now we will create an incident, but if I select I need additional SAP access, then a specific kind of a service request will be created, which is designed for authorization requests. Then depending on your selection, you have different fields. Again, this is configurable. You might not have any fields here, or you can put even extra fields. By default, now we have the urgency, the impact, and the assignment group. Remember, I mentioned that the ITSM connector can route the ticket to the relevant team based on any condition. And basically, the ITSM connector detected that transaction FB50 belongs to the finance module. So that's why, because there's a rule in a configuration table for that, it will route it to the finance team. So let's press send. Now the ITSM connector creates the ServiceNow incident, generates all the attachments that contain the information that the support teams might need, and uploads everything to the incident. Now you get the ticket number, and you can even open it in a browser window. So most likely your end users have access to your self-service portal. You can see that this is the incident that was created. But now let's check this out with service desk user. So I go to incidents. Here we go. This is the incident that we just created. And the big benefit of that is that the routing and categorization is perfectly done. So it means that all the ServiceNow fields are set exactly to the values that you want. You can have fixed values, for example, in the category and subcategory. In our demo landscape, we have fixed software in SAP. You might have different business services, service offerings, configuration item. It depends on the system from which I create a ticket. You can even have a dedicated channel, so you can see that this ticket was created out of SAP and not based on a phone call. The ticket is assigned to the finance team, and here you have different attachments. So these attachments contain all the information that the support teams might need. Here is the screenshot that we allowed the program to take. Then we have SU53 output, that's the standard SAP authorization report. Right now, this is empty. We didn't have any failed authorization checks, but this is super useful for authorization issues because this will list you all the failed authorization checks that happened for the user and also the relevant authorizations assigned to the user. Then we have the screen contents as an Excel sheet. So it means that you can see what was displayed on the screen. So in this column, you have all the screen field values, and also the program gets the technical details that you can never expect an end user to provide you. So if this incident ends up with the developer team, then they will know the program name, the screen number, the field name, field description, and the content. Company code was 1710, currency was US dollars, document type was SA, which is GL account document, and so on. You have the full business context. You will know what to enter in the problematic transaction. Also, the ITSM connector attaches a PDF file with a header with the affected user and system details. Then you have the user input. And now comes the really interesting part. You have all the program details, like the title, transaction code, program name, screen number, subscreen number, component, package. If this was a report, then you'd have the selection, variant, and so on. You have all the details of the last message class, number, type, even the source code position is here. You can jump to this program, line number 400, and see why this error message was given to the user. You have the long description coming from the SAP help. Then you have details about the SAP client. So it was SAP GUI for Windows with this version from this laptop and so on. You have all the details of the SAP user, salutation, language key, time zone, email, phone number, whatever you need to get in touch. Then you have the system details like system ID, database details, kernel, version numbers, you name it. And the last section contains the list of add-on, the components installed in the system with version information. So basically, the big benefit of the ITSM connector is that you will have all the fields perfectly populated. You will have all the information depending on the UI type. So for example, if you create a ticket out of Fiori, you will have Fiori specific attachments with the Fiori app details and the console entries from the browser. If you have a runtime error, a short dump, then you have the short dump attached and so on. It's a super comprehensive data set that you get for every incident that is submitted using the ITSM connector. So now let's go back to the support backbone integration app. Because let's say this really turns out to be an issue in the standard SAP software, so you want to get it fixed by SAP. So let's press the prepare case button, and then you will notice that all the fields are perfectly populated because the ITSM connector is already passed the installation number, the system number, the component, and so on. So you literally have nothing to do. You don't have to change anything, just press the create SAP case button. So I will not do that because I don't want to pick this up. The finance support team in SAP should not work on this. So I will actually change this again to this test component, okay? Oh, and I will press the solution recommendations as well. So we should get that in a few seconds. Okay, it's already there, so let's refresh. Oh, it was already there, sorry. Yeah, here you go. Here are the solution recommendations for my issue. And then if I press the create case button, then again, I don't have to do anything. Everything was going to be fully automated. And you can configure the product in a way that all the pre-existing attachments will be uploaded automatically. Again, you can see that the case is created, the incident field are changed accordingly. If you scroll down, we should see what's going on. It's actually uploading all the attachments, the SU53 authorization report, the screen contents, the PDF, the screenshot. So SAP will also have all this comprehensive information. So most likely they will be able to provide a better support for you. So we have 15 more minutes. I will show you a couple of things in the application. So for example, the rules table, that's super important. Here you can set up rules that define certain business logic parts of the application. So I mentioned that, for example, the UI action, this is the one. So when to display the prepare case button. So let's check this rule. It works on the incident table. Is it so slow today? Okay, here we go. So here there's a condition builder, and it means that you can add any criteria here. If you want this prepare SAP case button to only be displayed when, I don't know, maybe the business service, or what is it called, the service equals to something, then you can just add it. Or if you want to make this depend on the assignment group, then you just add it. The assignment group is SAP whatever, general, and then you update the rule. And after that, the prepare case button will only be displayed when the incident matches all the criteria that you set up here. So now I will just discard all these changes. So you can see that there are 14 different places where you can actually change how the product works. When to display the close button, the read case button, all the buttons, how the automatic mapping things should be done, and a lot of different things. So you don't have to do actual development. You just go to this rule table or the custom field mapping table, or there's this priority mapping that's super simple. Again, let's filter for the active one. So here you map the ServiceNow priority to the SAP priority. Okay, then we have the master data. So for example, here are the SAP components synchronized from SAP Cloud ALM. So this is the table which is behind the lookup field. Then we have the landscape objects. You can see we only have 52 in our company. Obviously, large service providers might have many thousands here, or large customers. Then we have the solution recommendations also saved to each incident. We also store the case activities, so we can actually check out how much time is spent in each status. So we can see how much time is actually performed on the SAP side, how much time is spent on waiting for you as a customer to provide feedback. And that's good because we have two dashboards. We have the SAP Case Analytics dashboard that displays data, I'm sorry, about your SAP incidents for which there are SAP cases. So here we have some filters. You can filter for SAP the customer numbers. We only have one set up in the system. You can filter per priority and also check out if the tickets were created out of the using the ITSM connector or not. And then you have the number of critical incidents with the case, high prior, and all the others. Then you have the number of cases over time, number of cases per system, per component, and so on. You have a table here. Using the priority and the status, and so on. So this is pretty good. You can use this out of the box. You can also enhance it or merge this data set with your existing incident dashboards. And we also have a health dashboard, which is designed to give you an overview of how your integration works. So you can see the number of web service calls per status, like how many errors you have, in progress, success, the same thing of there's an automatic retry functionality. I think I'm not going to show it to you because we only have 10 minutes left. So the product can automatically retry failed errors, web service communication errors. Then you have the different integration errors here. You have the operation types per date. You have the HTTP return codes as a breakdown. You have the average response times per API endpoint. So this provides you an overview of how your integration works. Okay, I believe this is the most important things that I wanted to show you. So let's jump back quickly to the slide deck where we have a little summary. So remember, we had the two slides about the pain points. So the first one was related to supporting SAP systems in general, and these are actually solved. So remember, the poor ticket quality was solved by the ITSM connector product with the automated data collection. So the ITSM connector allows you to create tickets directly out of SAP, and it will gather all the information about the environment and attach it to your ServiceNow incident. Again, you saw that it will automatically route the ticket to the relevant team based on transaction or module or system or any other criteria. And you also saw that it can embed a knowledge base search directly into SAP. Let's check out the second slide, which was about standard SAP errors that were sent to SAP as cases. So the manual categorization of the cases is again gone. The ServiceNow app can do that for you, especially easily if you have the ITSM connector working together with the support backbone integration app. There is no manual update anymore, so all the comments, attachments will be synchronized across ServiceNow and the central support backbone. And this extra communication is also solved because the product can synchronize all the attachments added to your incidents, including the ones which were generated by the ITSM connector, which provides all the context and information about the issue. Okay, we have some case studies all about the ITSM connector. You know, the Cloud ALM API, which is the basis of our support backbone integration app, is pretty new. It was introduced in January this year. So we don't have case studies for that yet, but for the ITSM connector, we do. For example, Carl Zeiss have reduced the average ticket resolution time by 50% using the ITSM connector. It was 4 days and 15 hours approximately, and with the ITSM connector, it was down to 2 days and 7 hours. So that's a huge speed up. Uniper solves incidents about 24 hours earlier on average. Aegis is a pharma company. They reduced the SLA breaches by 12% and decreased the number of ticket reassignments by 91% using this automatic routing of the tickets. Aspen Pharma reduced the support team efforts by 25% and also the manual reporting by 2 days per month because we do have an SAP incident dashboard included in the ITSM connector application. All right, so let's check out the questions. I will just go to the questions screen. Okay, so okay, yeah, so the first question is about VAR partners. And yes, this is supported. Let me jump back here. So I will go to the target systems configuration. You can see that you might have any number of target systems and each will represent a Cloud ALM tenant. So I will just go to this one. And here you see a VAR scenario checkbox. And this is going to control if the product uses the VAR scenario or not. And actually the difference is here. You can see that there's an SAP creator and a reporter. And for my case, I was not using the VAR scenario, it's the same. But if you're a VAR partner, then this might not be the case. Someone at your company might create a case on behalf of a user at one of your customers. And then these two fields will be different, and that's going to be reflected on the SAP case. Let's go back to the questions. Okay, how do you distinguish comments that are coming from customers that are not necessarily needed to be? Okay, yeah. So the question is, how do we distinguish between comments that need to be synchronized to SAP case? And here you have two different comment types. There's this additional comments, which is customer visible, and work notes. And you can configure the product. Again, it's super flexible. Let me go back to the target systems. There is a setting here. Send work notes. This is the checkbox. So if you don't check this, then the internal work notes will never be sent to SAP. But if for some reason you want that to be synchronized as well, then you just tick this checkbox, and then work notes will be also sent to SAP. So let's check the next question. Does every SAP user need an S user, or is it one central user? No, everybody will need. Everybody will need. So basically, coming back here again. So here you will have S users, and this is going to be passed to the SAP case. So technically, you could somehow manage to use only one S user for all the incidents, but that's bad because then in the case, it's going to be always the same person showing up, and the SAP will have no idea that this is for someone else. They will not be able to get in touch and so on. And the notifications, the email notifications will be sent to this person. He will have nightmares about those hundreds of emails. So it's definitely not the design to have one S user. But as I mentioned, S users are synchronized automatically. Actually, let me jump to the admin functions part. So here you can trigger certain background jobs manually as well. So for example, reading the S users, getting the landscape objects, reading the components, triggering mass reading of cases and mass reprocessing. But these are already scheduled background jobs in ServiceNow. So you don't have to manually enter in all the S users. It's going to be synchronized automatically. So let's check the next question. Okay. Are there any webhook on SAP Cloud ALM side to reduce the number of API calls made from ServiceNow for reading a case? No. So what we can do is whatever SAP offers. They do have an API. I believe it's api.sap.com. So here you can check this. Oh, sorry again. So here you have the ITSM API. There's this description here. You have the documentation and so on. Here you have the reference. So this is what we're building on. Unfortunately, it doesn't allow anything that you asked for, no hook methods. You can't actually develop anything on the Cloud ALM side. So going back to the next question, what is the paid pricing for this app? It's based on the number of S users, so the fulfillers on the ServiceNow side. So please get in touch, and we will give you a quote based on your user count. So next one, yeah. So if you need to get in touch for more information, then I will proceed to the last slide. So this is our website, sta-technologies.com. Also, you can find us on LinkedIn, or you can write an email to info@sta-technologies.com. Also, if you just go to the store, ServiceNow Store, and you search for SAP, then one of the first hits is going to be the SAP Support Backbone Integration app. So again, you can get in touch with us through the ServiceNow Store. Let's check the next question. Are the lists of SAP recommendations displayed in the ITSM connector and those in ServiceNow the same? Yes, those are the same. So it uses the same Cloud ALM API call. It sends you the system details, the description, and stuff like that, and then it displays whatever is returned by SAP. Okay, next question. Do you provide your presentation to facilitate the next step with customers and how to involve you? Yes, absolutely. We will send out the link to the document, the PowerPoint. Okay, next one. What is the process of deploying the ServiceNow app? Okay, that's actually right here on the screen. So if you log into the ServiceNow store, you can press the buy button or the try button, and then follow the on-screen instructions. Basically, then we will get a notification in our ServiceNow store admin page, and then we'll get in touch and make sure you can test the product. Okay, let me check if there are any further questions. No, this was the last question. If you have any more questions, then please let me know. And of course, we're happy to answer that in emails, or we can schedule follow-up meetings. Okay, now we have something new. So as war partners, we are currently obliged to send all our OSS incidents via Solution Manager. Do you know if SAP is thinking about change its mandatory rule? Yes, of course. Solution Manager is approaching the end of its life cycle. So one major motivation for SAP to provide this Cloud ALM API was that the Solution Manager users will have to migrate away from that. Currently, the only way to send OSS messages or SAP cases to SAP is through Solution Manager, but that's not going to be there forever. Mainstream maintenance is out at 2027. You can maybe have some extra support until 2030, but after that, you will not have any support. So this is a good time to think about a replacement and use the ITSM connector and also the ServiceNow, the SAP Support Backbone integration app to replace Solution Manager. All right, so we are just a few minutes over time. Thank you very much for your time and attention. I hope you enjoyed the webinar. Let's get in touch and keep in touch. I wish you everybody a great week ahead. So thank you and take care. Bye-bye.